How's it going, guys? I made a video 11 days ago talking about the recent Broken Arrow cheating controversy. If you want a full rundown, you can check out that video. This is an update to that video, but the cliff notes are basically a popular Chinese streamer went up against a popular Russian-speaking Ukrainian streamer, and the Ukrainian streamer basically said that the Chinese streamer was cheating, and he reported him, and then the Chinese streamer's entire team got banned. The Ukrainian streamer maintained that he doesn't know the devs or anything, uh, and the Chinese streamer maintains that he wasn't cheating. This is an update to that. The Chinese began review bombing the game, right? The game slipped to mixed reviews. What happened? What happened since then? Well, the first thing is Slitherine released a statement, which we'll read out now. I'll try and read it out in verbatim. This will all be time-stamped, but it's probably best to get this out here first. Just make it seem like I'm being impartial. Sorry, I try to be impartial. Since launch, the development team has been working hard on the anti-cheat system in order to ensure that the multiplayer environment is safe, fair, and fun to everyone. We have been monitoring reports, and more than 2,000 players have been banned on suspicion of cheating since launch. That's a lot. Unfortunately, after internal analysis of the logs and a review of the banning procedure, we've observed some cases where false positives may have occurred in the process. And while we have made every effort to ensure fairness, we cannot fully guarantee that some players haven't been banned unfairly. It is also the reason why we have been quiet in the past few days. We were undergoing a rigid and serious analysis of our internal processes. For this reason, we have decided we are going to review all cases of bans, which might be the result of false positives or the result of human error from our staff. There have also been cases of players banned from multiplayer for having cheated in single player. Our system cannot differentiate between single player and multiplayer at the moment, so while we wouldn't object to the use of cheats in single player in normal circumstances, we cannot allow them right now as it wouldn't be a simple change. We don't take this decision lightly, but it is only the right thing to do in this case. It is the only right thing to do in this case. Rest assured that there is only a very small percentage of only a very small percentage of players affected, but our aim is zero false positives. There can't be any doubts. We apologize to those who have been banned unfairly. Rest assured that we remain determined to stamp out cheating in all its forms. Update 1.08 improves improvements to the anti-cheat system, and the team has been expanded with new members dedicated to thoroughly reviewing all cheating reports. Ensuring fairness in the bans process with this added expertise, we're confident the staff will be even more efficient in detecting and addressing cheaters. This is quite long. I thought I'd be getting through this a bit faster. I said that I would try and read it out verbatim and then give my analysis, but let's take a small break here. So basically, they don't address the controversy directly. They're just sort of hoping that most people don't know about it. But all you got to do is go and read all the negative reviews for this game. You got to turn off the Your Languages filter so you could read all the Chinese ones. And they all say absolutely lovely things, like, the authorities randomly banned players and racially discriminated against Chinese players. The Russians are a bandit nation after all, and their bad nature will never change. And this is quite a common review from the Chinese community. Basically, they say the Russians are racist, and then they say something extremely racist about the Russians. This is very, very common. I've got a whole video you can watch of just me reading out some of these reviews. It's by no means all of them. There are literally thousands of them, and they say some of the most horrible things I've ever read. I really did used to have a very different opinion of Chinese gamers before this controversy. This has really opened my eyes a lot. Basically, I go to university in the UK. I'm doing a PhD. Before that, I did a master's, a bachelor's in the UK. So I've been in the British university system for like 9 years. And there's a lot of Chinese students in the UK. And I've never had a bad experience with any of them. They've always been very pleasant. Even the high school I went to, there were Chinese international students sending their kids to that high school because they thought they would help them get into a better university. They went to high school in the UK as well. And I never had a problem with them. But yeah, these Chinese netizens, they're something else. They're something else entirely. Really, really abhorrent things they've been saying. Anyway, we're here to see, what happened. But yeah, they don't display they don't talk about the controversy directly. They just say that there's been unfair reviews. We'll address, because they basically sent an email to just the Chinese guys, which we'll get to in a minute. And yeah, there is only a very small percentage of players affected. As English publisher, by the way. And they are hiring more people to look at the cheating reports. Basically, the way the cheating reports work, they've made it all private now. They used to have a public thread that you could post on called Potential Cheaters, and they realized that this made them look absolutely terrible because there were literally thousands of reports of people cheating, with hundreds more coming in every single day, particularly near the start when there were more players. There's a lot less, not a lot fewer players now, far fewer players, sorry. And so now they've made all that private because it makes them look terrible. And they've hired more people to look at the cases, because literally the way they're banning people is you have to email them video evidence of the guy cheating. So they need people to look at it. Update 1.08 released tomorrow, so yeah, I did a separate video about the update and things to do with that. I'll link that in the description. Community call. This is where it gets very funny. Broken Arrow has players from all over the world, with two spaces there. We come from many different countries and cultures, and we all have different sensibilities. All of us need to be more understanding and tolerant towards everyone. It is a game, and we are here to have fun. Stop accusing different nationalities of cheating, or having assumptions that different nationalities are more prone to cheating than others. That is simply not the case in bold. Is that two spaces there? Yeah, it is. Simply put, the proportion of cheaters is globally the same in every country, comma before but. Some countries have more players than others. This is not correct. We'll get to that. We must be clear on one point, no capital letter. We do not accept or tolerate any form of racist language or behavior. We are one big family, and we want people to enjoy Broken Arrow and to feel at home in the Broken Arrow community, comma, no matter where they are from or who they are. It's a very long sentence. Sorry, I'm currently proofreading my PhD thesis, so this is the sort of thing I look at now. I just can't get it out of my head. This is our call to the community, no capital letter after. Cheating makes things harder for everyone. Cheaters are only making things harder for the developers, as they need to put more time into that rather than focusing on new additions. Is that how you spell that? I might be wrong here. We'll get to all that. Wow! Interesting British English, so I spell like an American, apparently. Cheaters are only making things harder for the staff, as they are putting a lot of time into ensuring that cheaters get banned. Most importantly, it makes the game not fun for people who play multiplayer. If you love Broken Arrow, consider this and please help us by contributing to creating a healthy environment for everyone. So this is basically like, telling criminals not to be criminals. Just be a good person. They obviously... you're preaching to the crowd. The guys who are cheating are going to read this and begin laughing because they think you're silly, because it is a silly thing to say. We said that we would get into or having assumptions that different nationalities are more prone to cheating than others. That is simply not the case. I'm going to have to do a brief cut here while I get some stuff up. Right, sorry about that brief cut there. Basically, the website I was using to track these statistics wasn't working properly. So let's reread this. Stop accusing different nationalities of cheating or having assumptions that different nationalities are more prone to cheating than others. That is simply not the case. So here we have Steam users by country in 2025. As you'd expect, USA number 1, 13.7 million Steam users. China has 11.4 million Steam users, so they're catching up very, very quickly. You know, a popular counter-argument to the data I'm about to show you is basically China has more people. In fact, he actually says this here. They actually say this here. Simply put, the proportion of cheaters is globally the same in every country, but some countries have more players than others. America has more players than China in general. And now, this website, which I'll link in the description, lets you view game bans for all games on Steam by country. Number 1, China. 2.25 million game bans with 11.4 million accounts. 2.25 million game bans with 11.4 million accounts. think about what is being said here. 2.25 divided by 11.4, right? That means that about 1 in 5 Steam accounts in China has a game ban. 1 in 5 Steam accounts in China has a game ban. Obviously, accounts can accrue multiple bans. It goes through this here, right? There's 1 million accounts with 2 game bans and 28 million accounts with 1 game ban. So the majority of accounts have 1 game ban, if they have a ban at all. The majority of accounts don't have a ban. If you have a ban, you've only usually got 1 ban, right? 1 in 5 Chinese Steam accounts have a game ban. Let's have a look at some other countries. Second is the Russian Federation, known for its Counter-Strike cheating. 9.5 million Steam users, right? And 300,000 bans, right? So it's not complicated. 0.3 divided by 9. What was it? 9.5 or 9.8? 9.5, right? Times by 100. 3% of Russian accounts have a Steam ban. 19.7% of Chinese accounts have a Steam game ban. America is third with 230,000, so that's an even smaller proportion. So this is a lie. This has been said because they want the Chinese community to stop review bombing their game. The facts do not agree with what is being said here, and in fact they're so hilariously blown out of proportion. All you gotta do is look at this bar compared to all the other ones, right? So we could get all the way down here. UK 37,000 game bans with 2.6 million users, all right? So it's pretty obvious that the majority of the cheaters are coming from one place. When I asked them about this on the forums, they did actually reply to me, which is very kind of them. And they said, our numbers show that, it's all the same. And I said, well, go on then, let's see the numbers. And they said, and those who don't like the numbers will say that they are made up. What's the point? We don't measure particularly high numbers of cheaters in one region compared to another proportionally to the number of users. However, we see more unwarranted accusations against Chinese names. There are numerous times when we have one cheater and the entire enemy team is, presumably, accused because they have Chinese names. Like yesterday, I reviewed a case when the entire team was accused, and the only one cheating was actually the only guy without a Chinese name. So there is a bias of confirmation. People think there are more Chinese cheaters, so they pay more attention to Chinese names, and in case of doubt, accuse all the team. This definitely happens, all right? He's not wrong to say this. This is correct. People do see statistics like this, and then they, cross the road to get away from cheaters on Steam. And that does happen. What I will say is that I've seen a lot of Chinese cheaters use anglicized names because they want to avoid being detected for cheating. So they just call themselves like Ben or something. And you click on their profile and it says, and they're in like several Steam groups called Chinese Gamers. And all their mutual friends have Mandarin names. It's like, well, what's going on there? So yeah, I believe they have said this to stop the Chinese from review bombing their game. So let's see how that's gone. Have the Chinese stopped review bombing their game? So last time we viewed this, it was mixed, right? And you see the graphs are coming in here. This was on the 9th. We're now on the 21st. And basically, it sort of worked, right? So Steam has this thing. You can read about it, and they make it sound like it's an automated system. I believe it is semi-automated. I believe the developers can say, hey, we got review bombed. Check this out. And then it will exclude all of these bad reviews from the statistics. So all of the negative Chinese reviews from that period, from the 8th to the 13th of July, are no longer counted in this review score. So you see that this is still mixed. It's still mixed. We'll get onto that. 68% of total reviews, excluding all those, are positive, right? So it's still mixed. You need 70 for positive. And if you basically, they say, well, you can turn this off in your preferences. Most people never do that because the default is to have it switched on, right? And you can switch it off. It's quite easy to do. And then you look at it again, and it's 58. So by hitting that review bomb and basically deleting those reviews, or at least removing them from the count. It's sort of like if you vote and they just get your ballot and throw it in the sea. So it's not been deleted, but it's, you know, they've gained themselves a 10% more positive review score by getting rid of those negative reviews. But the thing is that the game's reviews are actually still going down. So the review bomb has definitely stopped, right? This is when the controversy started. 428 negative, 523 negative, 794 negative. This was when the update came out, 1.08. So also they lost some positive reviews as well, but generally if you look at the percentages, right, this is 57% positive, 33, 28, 21, 39, 31, 41. We'll get on to what they did for the Chinese gamers later. I probably should have done that earlier, but basically they just completely, please forgive me. The thing is, outside of the review bomb, the reviews are still negative. So you got to think about this statistically, right? Obviously, there are fewer reviews, so it'll happen slower. But if the average positive score for the day is lower than 68, then the score will continue to fall. So the score is continuing to fall. It was actually 69 last time I looked at this. So 47, 49, 47, 42, 52, 53, 50, 49. So they're starting to climb back up, but they're still below 68, which means it's actually still going down. So that's that. Now we'll talk about what they said to the Chinese guys. So basically, this is one of the... they tried to do it under the cover so that, you know, they didn't get seen doing it. But they started messaging the Chinese guys from the stream, and they tried to get them unbanned. So I'll just read this out. Hello, my name's Alberto. I work at Slitherine, publisher for Broken Arrow, and I also speak on behalf of Steel Balaclava. May I ask you if I'm speaking to Lingdian, please? Thank you for accepting my invite. I'm a business development manager at Slitherine, and I've been working on Broken Arrow for years. I am closely working with Steel Balaclava 2. Can you please confirm if you're Lingdian 0.58? We'd like to reach out to him, as well as the other unfairly banned team members. You can see where this is going. Hello, I'm not, but I can represent him. Our communication will be shared between our teams. Hi, were you part of the banned team? Yes. I'm trying to obtain the email addresses, or email address, of all the 5 Chinese players who were banned. We would like to send an email to all of you to apologize and to let you know that you will be unbanned today. We will also apologize in public with a public announcement. Could you give me the email address of the players involved, please? We need to discuss. It will take some time. I feel your sincerity. So, this is not correct. They did not apologize in public. We've read this. I suppose it's sort of like a mealy-mouthed reply, right? Well, no, they never say sorry. They never say sorry. They say they're going to do something about it, so that's probably better than an apology, but they never actually apologize or address the issue fully. Anyway, we've also got a copy of the email they sent, and I got this confirmed by a couple Chinese gamers as well. So it is real, as it were. So this is the email that was sent to the Chinese teams. Dear Name, we are writing to you on behalf of Steel Backlover, developers of Broken Arrow, and Slitherine, publishers of Broken Arrow. We wanted to express our sincere apologies for the incident involving yours and your team's ban 3 days ago. That shouldn't have happened, and it was the result of a human error. Since then, we've been evaluating your case manually, analysing the logs and the evidence, and we have reached the conclusion that you and your teammates haven't been cheating and you have been banned unfairly. Unfortunately, the anti-cheat system and our procedure for banning players is currently still imperfect, and we are taking steps to improve both the anti-cheat system as well as our banning process. We apologise for it shouldn't have happened, and we are trying to rectify our mistake. As a start, you and your teammates are now unbanned. We want to clarify one detail. There have been rumours according to which a member of your opponent's team... There have been rumours according to which a member of your opponent's team would be part of Steel Backlover. That is absolutely false. He is not part of Steel Balalaika. Oh, I said it properly. Gonna have to edit that out. And he's not associated with the developers in any capacity, and his claims of that are completely false. I don't think he actually claimed this, but whatever. When you're bowing down to the Chinese sentry, you gotta get with it. Please note that we're going to address the racism that sadly has been shown by some players of the Broken Arrow community. We have no space for racism and discrimination in our community. and we want people from all around the world to be able to enjoy our game, no matter their country, gender, or background. We would be delighted if you would be willing to give our game another chance and keep enjoying it. Kind regards, Steel Backlover, Slitherine, and the Broken Arrow team. So, let's recount. We got a public sort of apology. We got the 5 Chinese guys unbanned. And so basically they achieved most, if not all, of their objectives. The final thing was, a lot of them said, we want ZetRoX banned, we want ZetRoX banned, we want ZetRoX banned. So ZetRoX was the guy who is clearly not a racist at all. He was the guy who reported that Chinese streamer. This is sort of the cause of all the controversy. So he released a statement in Russian, and I've used ChatGPT to translate it into English because it seems to work a little bit better than Google Translate. So we'll now read this out. It's time to write a big post addressing all the unhealthy drama around cheats and discrimination. Let's start from the beginning. It all started during a late-night match where my teammates and I ended up against a certain Chinese team that used a tactic involving air raid, specifically the AC-130. The tactic itself is well known and not particularly complex. If anything, it's considered cheesy or exploitative, which is why we've never taken it seriously. But our Chinese opponents had no problem using it, and since it doesn't violate any game rules, there are no formal objections to it from that angle. This is one hell of an apology. From our perspective, however, the match descended into utter chaos and nonsense. For example, some of their planes survived multiple missile hits with absurdly little damage, while their missiles would one-shot ours, even when exploding far behind the aircraft. Our air defenses were destroyed by anti-radar missiles, even the ones without radars turned on, and SHORAD systems that usually work unchallenged from their own smoke were wiped out effortlessly right inside it. We also got the impression that the number of points they deployed in the first minute exceeded what's technically possible. So I'll just interject here. Basically, this game is under the hood, and a lot of people are going to get upset when I say this, it's a technical disaster. If you're lagging loads, you can just phase through missiles. So when you're playing with a bunch of guys on the other side of the planet, and China is on the other side of the planet to Europe, and he's based in Ukraine, which is in Europe, and they're probably playing through VPNs as well, they're obviously going to have a higher latency. So there's going to be a lot of lag, and that's what causes these problems. So not only are there cheats which make you invincible and invisible and super fast and shoot super fast, but they got rid of the potential cheaters channel, so that problem's solved, right? Also, if the game is lagging, you see things that look like cheats. You can hit people multiple times and they don't die. It's really not fantastic from a competitive standpoint, or just in any standpoint, really. And so, yeah, it makes people look like cheaters. Add that to the fact that, I mean, it goes back to what Flick said, which, you know, it has some merit, right? You know, you see a guy with a Chinese name, he's got 500 milliseconds ping or whatever, he's phasing through all your missiles, and that's because the game's broken. Maybe he's got a few invisible units here and there, and a few of your points uncapped themselves, and that's because the game's broken. And then you think, well, he must be cheating. And sometimes they are cheating, as we spoke about here, right? The highest cheating rate in the world, by an order of magnitude minimum. 1 in 5 Chinese Steam accounts have a game ban. But you add that to this, and then, you know, people draw conclusions, right? You know, I'm brown. A lot of people who do naughty things involving Roblox-based scenarios tend to share my skin color and my religious beliefs. Doesn't mean that we're all like that, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? So I do understand what's going on. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that clarifies that point. With those thoughts in mind, I submitted a request to the developers to check whether those players were legit. If they were banned, then they were cheaters. Simple as that. If not, then the problem lies elsewhere. The tactic, the servers, our skill issues, or something else. The devs ended up banning them almost immediately, which made it obvious they were using cheats. So his claim basically is that he didn't submit it through some kind of backdoor, I know the devs, DM them, hey, can you ban this guy? He just submitted a regular cheating report, and they got banned, and it was basically just him acting as a normal player. Do you believe that? We know he knows the devs. Whether or not he used that connection in this instance, it's basically impossible to prove or disprove, so it's just up to you, really. We kept playing afterwards, since running into cheaters in Broken Arrow has become routine in the past week. Yes, it has. At this point, I could care less about ELO, despite being accused of greedily chasing it by people who apparently care about it just as much. I have accused him of that, so I guess I'm part of the problem. A few hours later, I started noticing that I was being pinged non-stop on Discord dozens of times, called out, insulted, and demanded to explain myself. But what kind of explanation was I supposed to give? Is this the first time you've ever seen a report system in action? Apparently not. The ban team decided I was some all-powerful overlord who controls the fate of every Broken Arrow player, and that anyone I dislike can be banned on my whim. I started trolling and feeded off that narrative a bit, which I do regret, though I still find amusing. For the record, I'm not an employee of Steel Backlover Studio, I'm not a developer, I do not currently have any close business ties to them. Yeah, we'll get... I suppose I might as well read this out first. Despite that, I somehow got into another argument with some newly banned players I had reported. It quickly devolved into personal insults as expected. The next morning, a campaign of discrediting the game began, review bombing and mass insults aimed at both me and the developers. The Chinese community took offense at my clarifications that the banned players were Chinese, and things escalated from there. I was accused of racism and subjected to an absolute mind-boggling amount of reverse racism, both in its cynicism and hypocrisy. People who accuse me of being racist, even though I was referring specifically to Chinese or Asian cheaters, not the Chinese people or culture as a whole, responded with curses, death threats, and wishes of harm to me, my family, my team, the developers, and my entire subhuman nation. Yes, I read a lot of these. Ironically, in the chaos, several different nationalities were blamed as mine, depending on who was doing the attacking. So, yeah, basically, the way this internet hate mob works, and I was targeted by a much smaller version of the same hate mob, is you get... most of the Chinese internet can't actually access the Western internet because of the firewall. You can use a VPN, and most of them do, but they can't speak the language, they just don't really step outside of their comfort zone. And so what happens is people come up to you, online I suppose, and they will say the most insane shit you can believe. They will say the most unpleasant things I've ever read on the internet come from these Chinese e-citizens, right? They call you racist, and then they literally describe in great detail how your entire family should be murdered because you beat them in a video game. Frankly, I've never seen it out of any other group of people than the Zionists. These guys are really, really horrible. Like I said, you can read some of these reviews. These are just the ones that, because a lot of them get automatically banned, and the admins were going through and banning all the really, really bad ones. But I'll link this in the description. It's this one. Yeah, just so many horrible things they said. I actually had enough to make a second video, but even just reading them out is upsetting. So like, look at this. What is the setting for 100% interception of ballistic missiles by close defense? 100% bare-handed catching of blades? Can you intercept 100% of 2x supersonic missiles? You are really awesome. I haven't waited for your update until now, and there are still a lot of bugs. Will you fix them? If I hadn't read the comments, I wouldn't have known about racial discrimination. You can eat poop. Ukraine will win, defeat the invaders, and NATO missiles will expand eastward to your server. Maybe it can improve your server efficiency, Steel Backlover. That's one of the nicer ones. I really do recommend watching this video. It's actually quite funny, and it's morbid fascination. And so what they will do is they'll say the most horrible things to you, and you could see this all over Reddit and stuff. They were posting it a lot on the subreddit, and then they will just crop your reply. If you say anything remotely negative back to them, they will just crop your reply, and they'll go post that on the Chinese internet, basically. And they'll say, look, this guy's a racist. And then they'll make a bunch of stuff up. So they started saying that he's a member of the studio and all this. There was one very specific case where basically this Chinese guy said to ZetRoX, I hope your whole family dies in Ukraine or something. And then basically ZetRoX just compared that to the Nanjing massacre. He said, well, you're saying that, similar people have invaded, because ZetRoX is Ukrainian, right? He said, well, the Japanese invaded your country, right? And then, you tried to do something about it. And all they did was just copy that and say he's making fun of the Chinese Nanjing massacre. It just wasn't what he said at all. And if you try and engage with any of these people, they just tell you to kill yourself as well. They really are the most vile people the second most vile people I've ever encountered. And so that's how the thing fuels itself. You get the people who come out and just spread blatant misinformation, and then they take it back to the other guys who just believe it. And if you try and negotiate with them, they just say, nope, I believe that my Chinese fellow citizens. I don't believe you. You're a racist, evil Western pig dog, and you should all be liquidated. And by the way, you're being racist to me, but you're a subhuman. It is really disgusting. Anyway, let me repeat, my own extensive experience in online gaming shows a noticeably high, sometimes critical, number of cheaters from the Asian region. 11.4 million Steam China users. 2.25 million Steam China bans. 13.7 million US users. 230,000. It's literally an order of magnitude lower. It's ridiculous. Whether it's regional servers or global ones, big MMOs or small indie games, online tournaments or LAN events, my Asian contacts themselves have often confirmed that cheat scandals, match fixing, and mafia-like structures are a serious problem in the region. Maybe it's just my bad luck. Maybe it's some psyop by intelligence services tried to push false narratives. I don't know. But it's my opinion, based on facts that I personally observe, and no amount of death threats is going to change that. Is that justification for insulting all people of Asian descent, especially those who have nothing to do with gaming or esports? Of course not. I don't use the same methods that were used against me over the past few days. So the point I'm trying to get at towards you is that, like, I've been on the receiving end of this, and it's very, very hard to deal with, because they will come and they will just say whatever can hurt you the most. They're completely amoral in their attacks, right? They talk about your family and how your whole family should die over a video game that you're playing. And they say the most horrible things you can imagine because they're trying to bait a response out of you. And if you respond with any insult whatsoever, they take it completely out of context and go and get the rest of the mob on you, because they'll just report that and not what they said. It's absolutely abhorrent. It's very, very, very difficult to deal with. When it happened to me, I really struggled to deal with it. In the end, I just started deleting all the comments because I realized you just can't win. You can't negotiate with these people. They're playing a different game to you, basically. You're trying to have a discussion. They're trying to kneecap you. That's why I want to stop the cycle of baseless aggression and put an end to this conflict, which has essentially run its course. I hold no racial hatred towards Asians or Chinese people specifically. I only hate cheaters who have no race or nation. They're just like Roblox players, because in essence, this is digital Roblox. I am not jealous of or angry at people who beat me or take ELO points from me. I've been competing in games for 15 years. I've won and lost far bigger events than some random ranked match. I bear no ill will towards the team that was banned based on my report and later unbanned after their innocence was confirmed. From my hand, I'm ready to extend a hand and apologise, something which does not feature in the Slitherine readout, an apology without an apology, to the team for the inconvenience caused by their ban, even though I'm not really obligated to. After all, anyone can report someone in a game, and should every person whose report results later in a ban later face consequences? It just so happened that both I and the opposing team were somewhat well known, and that's why it went public. That won't kill me, and it won't stop me from seeking peace, even after being bombarded with bot farms, propaganda, and threats. I care about the game, I like it, and I plan to continue developing in it. That's why I react so strongly, and sometimes aggressively, towards cheaters and those who sabotage the game. Review bombing also falls into that category, so let's put an end to it. I'm glad that at least 5 fewer potential cheaters now exist in the world, and this situation just revealed the imperfections of the game's anti-cheat system, which will and must be improved. So there you go. The Chinese objectives were force a public apology out of ZetRoX, ban ZetRoX, force a public apology out of Slitherine, and get their players unbanned. They achieved 3 of 4 of those objectives. ZetRoX hasn't been banned. He issued a public apology. Slitherine issued a sort of public apology where they throw all the Westerners under the bus. And the cheaters got unbanned. So yeah, what more is there to say? The Chinese review bomb achieved all its objectives by being absolutely horrible people. They got the developers to basically accuse everyone of racism. And I suppose, there were Westerners who were being racist towards the Chinese. Nothing like on the same scale. They got them to say that there's no more cheaters in China than there are everywhere else, even though all the evidence we have on hand. This is literally the Steam statistics. This is from Steam. He hasn't made this up. You can get this from the Steam API. Would indicate otherwise. It would indicate that they have more than 10 times as many cheaters as everybody else. And the game continues to sit on mixed reviews, right? Slitherine have removed a bunch of negative reviews. I suppose that's their small win out of all this. but it continues to sit on mixed reviews and it continues to decline. So, in terms of like whether or not those 5 guys actually cheated, I looked at the footage a lot. Sadly, it kept getting deleted from places, but I looked at it a lot, and I think it is possible that they didn't cheat. Like, I think they probably, in that instance, did not cheat. From looking at the data you have available on hand, I spent a lot of time looking at like what they'd bought and when they bought it. I think they didn't cheat. The thing with like they had a lot more income than you might think is because if you test it in a custom game with only those units in your deck, you get less income than if you have 10,000 out of 10,000 in your deck, because the income system is done off your total deck score, which is interesting. So, what do you think? I know what I think. I think I'm on Team China, baby. I'm taking Team China's role. It is the Chinese century. Get this crap out of here. China #1. I'm out to chase that Chinese money. Please forgive me, Chinese people. The Westerners are evil racists. Please continue to say that my entire family deserves to die in a horrible war. I'll see you in the next one. And as they say in China, ni hao. Or whatever goodbye is in China. I believe ni hao is hello, but I'm still learning. Please don't reduce my social credit.